So I'm just dividing equally. Because very often people get problems when they haven't stuck with the same grid and then they can't work out why they can't line it up. So I'm trying to keep my grid really light. Okay. But it's a good idea that when you actually present your work, you could show us a photo of it with the grid, and then you could show the photo if you've taken the grid away. Okay. Now, the good thing about the grid, what it does is it starts to focus your eye. Now, I have here, I call these viewfinders. They're literally just two pieces of card that have been cut into L shapes. And what they're really good at is they're good at reducing and giving you just an area to look at. Okay. So the idea of the grid method is you can look at each part of the grid one step at a time. Okay, so if I look at the first square here, I can start to see just a little bit of a head. And what I always say is try not to think of what it actually is. Just try to think about it as line and shape. Okay, I also imagine that my little square here is divided up again. So I kind of think of where the centre of each part of that, I'll draw it on my guidelines. I always think of maybe where the centre of that is on here as well. In my head, I always have a little scale like 1 to 10, and I think, well, where does that line come? Is it kind of a number 7? So I can see the duck's head is coming in there. I can also see if I put a line across here and a line across there, just take these off for a minute. I put a line corner to corner, the duck's head sits under that half. So I know that if I put a line, just a guideline there, that duck's head is not going to go past that line. Okay. And I can start to plot it in. So that's what the grid method does. It breaks everything down. I can see I've got to take that line nearly to the corner. Okay. Then if I look at the next line, I can see this one joins. And I've got to take it to here, which is roughly about there. So if I join those two up, that should give me the shape of the neck. Okay. So that's what the grid method is doing. It's actually helping you to focus, moving my camera. It's helping you to focus one section at a time. If I look at this part of the grid, I've literally just got a line from this top bit that goes to the corner. So I've got to make sure it goes down and to the corner. So what the grid method does is it helps you with your accuracy. Okay, so again, if I look at this grid, I can see a line that starts here at the top and it scoops down, and I would say it's about just under halfway. So I kind of think about it like plotting the grid. I can see where everything's going to kind of sit and where it's going to finish. Can you see that? Yeah. Is anybody having a go? Is anybody having a go now? Don't worry if you're not, because we're all working differently. So you can see how it's starting to build up, because the scary thing is usually that first blank piece of paper, isn't it? That's scary for all of us, even me still, that blank piece of paper. Yeah. So the grid method helps us to just do one step at a time. So if I look at this square now, I can see I've got a line. It goes from here to here. It's roughly there and there. And I'm going to scoop that down, something like that. Okay. And then again, the line here scoops down, finishes about here. and it has some little bits of texture in the middle. Okay, so that is the idea of the grid method.